The room flickered with static. A pale blue glow pulsed from the television screen, silent, then suddenly pierced by a chilling disembodied voice that said, "They're already here." The words cracked like thunder, slicing through the still air. A moment of perfect silence followed, where time seemed to halt, suspended in dread. Then chaos erupted. Screens worldwide lit up with a garbled transmission, interlaced tones, frequencies, and flickering symbols that no human language could explain. Yet, buried deep in the distortion, a message emerged, intelligent, deliberate, and unmistakably foreign. It wasn't just a signal. It was an arrival. Sirens began to wail. Cities blinked into emergency lockdowns. Helicopters rumbled across night skies. Families clutched each other beneath flickering streetlights. And in the center of it all stood Ava, frozen in her modest apartment, tears streaking her face, not from fear but recognition. The voice echoed again, deeper now. "We've been waiting for you." She wasn't just hearing it. She was feeling it, bones vibrating, heart racing, as if her blood itself remembered something the rest of her couldn't. The voice didn't end. It continued, overlapping itself in multiple layers, distorted yet melodic, like a memory being forced into the present. Ava stared at the screen, breath caught in her throat, every instinct screaming to run. But something deeper, older, held her still. The message wasn't global. It was personal. She reached toward the screen, fingertips trembling, and as they touched the glass, an electric jolt surged through her. In her mind's eye, flashes of unknown places burned like lightning strikes, barren red deserts under twin moons, silver pyramids etched with floating sigils, creatures that looked both divine and terrifying. She stumbled backward, gasping. "Why me?" she whispered. The signal suddenly cut out. Total silence. Outside, the city screamed, but here inside, there was only her, and that haunting afterglow. Ava knew with sudden clarity that this wasn't humanity's first contact. It was hers. In a government data facility buried beneath miles of reinforced earth, monitors lit up in synchronized horror. Analysts stared in disbelief as the alien code spread across networks faster than any virus. Nothing could stop it. It wasn't just data, it was architecture, language, maybe even thought. In a dark side lab, Dr. Malik, cybernetic linguist, muttered, "It's learning us, reverse adapting." A younger tech asked, "Should we shut it down?" Malik shook his head, haunted. "It's too late. It's already rewritten half our firewall signatures." A classified alert rang out across the mainframe. Level black, contact verified. Far above, satellites tilted, recalibrating to trace the source, but no signal was detected. Because the origin wasn't space, it was Earth. Ava, unaware of any of this, stood before a mirror, staring into her own eyes, not recognizing the person reflected back. The military's highest echelons entered emergency protocol. Jets scrambled. Communications were scrambled across sectors. But Ava, she just sat on the floor, knees hugged to her chest, trying to steady her breath. Her phone buzzed repeatedly. Friends, news alerts, system errors, but it was all noise. The real signal had already spoken, directly to her soul. Meanwhile, on a darkened base in the Arctic, a general stared at a screen replaying Ava's apartment camera feed. Audio filtered to isolate the alien voice. "She's the key," he said, eyes narrowing. "Initiate protocol siren." Soldiers in black silently moved into action. Ava had no idea she was now being watched by more than just the stars. Night deepened. Across the globe, seismic patterns shifted. Birds took flight in unnatural formations. Insects went silent. Tides pulsed against coastlines with eerie synchronicity. Ava dreamed of stars. No, of places between stars. Her body twisting in sleep, murmuring in a language not her own. On her wall, the light from the now dead screen shimmered faintly, casting symbols across the wallpaper. But they weren't random. They were a map. When she awoke, covered in sweat, the symbols were gone. But the imprint remained. She wrote one of them in her journal without thinking. One line, one curve, one glyph that didn't belong in this world. She stared at it, heart pounding. Somehow she knew. This was the beginning of everything. Ava stood in the dim hallway outside her childhood home, the silence thick with old pain. Her fingers hesitated on the doorframe, worn, weathered, and full of memories she'd worked hard to forget. Inside, dust coated every surface. It had been years since her mother vanished. No body, no answers, just silence. Ava walked past old photographs, faces fading behind glass, her mother, and a man she barely remembered. But one image held her gaze, her mother, younger, standing in front of a chalkboard filled with strange symbols, symbols Ava now recognized from the alien transmission. Her knees weakened. She whispered, "You knew." As she reached behind the frame, her fingers found a hidden envelope. Inside, a small metallic disc and a note, written in her mother's hand. "If they come back, don't trust them, not even the ones who look like us." Ava's heart sank. Her mother hadn't disappeared. She'd been taken. Or worse, left willingly. She remembered the day her mother vanished. Ava was just 13. The news said she walked into the woods and never came out. But now, as she replayed her memories, details once overlooked screamed for attention. The night before her mother disappeared, she'd been pacing, whispering to herself in a language Ava hadn't understood. And the stars, that night they had moved. Not metaphorically. Literally. Patterns in the sky rearranged, spiraled, pulsed. Her mother had kissed her forehead and said, "No matter what happens, you were made for more than this." Ava, back in the present, stared at the metallic disc. Its surface shimmered like liquid under her touch. Her hands trembled. Was this what her mother had been trying to protect her from? Or was it what she'd been preparing her for? The man in the photo, Ava's father. She hadn't thought of him in years. He died when she was 5. That's what she was told. But, as she flipped the photograph over, another note was etched into the backing. He was never human. Her breath caught. The metallic disc began to emit a low hum, glowing faintly, as if responding to her realization. That night, she searched every document she could find. Hospital records, death certificates, all vague, incomplete, erased. She uncovered a classified adoption file. Her real birth record sealed by a now defunct agency. Her hands trembled as she whispered, "Who the hell am I?" The air around her changed, thickened, as if the question itself triggered something watching, waiting. Something not entirely of this world. Later that night, Ava collapsed on her bed, the disc clutched in her hand. She drifted into sleep, but it wasn't peaceful. In her dream, she stood in a vast alien chamber, lined with glowing walls that pulsed with rhythm like a heartbeat. Figures moved around her, tall, robed, indistinct, but they bowed. One reached out, placing a hand on her forehead. A voice boomed, "You are the daughter of the convergence. You are the threshold." She screamed, then awoke. The disc was now embedded in her palm, partially fused to the skin. She ripped it off, gasping in pain. Her veins glowed faintly for several seconds before fading. Something inside her had changed. Something was activating, and it was no longer just a message. It was a command. By morning, Ava no longer felt like herself. Her senses were sharper. Her thoughts raced in languages she had never learned. Every instinct said she needed to run, hide, disappear. But something deeper compelled her forward. She stood in the mirror, inspecting the faint imprint left by the disc. No visible wound, but her skin pulsed with residual light. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "I need to continue these." A voice said, "They're coming for you, Ava. And they won't ask nicely." Click. Knock. The line went dead. She looked out the window. 2 black SUVs parked across the street. A man stepped out, dressed in a civilian coat, but with military posture. He looked directly at her window. She backed away. The doorbell rang. Ava knew she couldn't run from what she was. The only way forward was through the truth. And the truth was more terrifying than any alien message. Ava didn't answer the door. She slipped quietly out the back, heart pounding, every breath shallow. She crossed into the alley and ducked behind a trash bin just in time to see men in dark tactical gear break into her apartment. No markings. No hesitation. They weren't law enforcement. They were something else. She moved fast, hopping fences, slipping through shadows. She'd grown up in this neighborhood. She knew the cracks in the system. But this wasn't just about survival anymore. The call, the disc, her mother's warnings, it was all part of something much larger. As she disappeared into the night, the man in the coat raised a communicator to his mouth. Subject is mobile. Phase 2 begins now. Across town, in a government archive vault, a biometric scanner activated without human touch. Ava's face flickered across a hidden terminal. Somewhere, someone whispered, "She's waking up." Hours later, Ava sat inside a near-empty subway car, hood up, hands still trembling. She didn't know where she was going, only that she had to disappear. That's when she saw the message. Scratched into the metal of the seat in front of her, "You are not alone. Platform 7, midnight." Her pulse spiked. Coincidence? No. Another sign. At exactly midnight, she stood on platform 7 of an abandoned metro terminal. The lights flickered. From the shadows a figure emerged. Woman, late 40s, scar across her cheek, eyes like steel. "Your mother sent me," the woman said. She knew this day would come. "My name's Rika. I'm not here to save you. I'm here to show you how to survive." Ava stared, stunned. The resistance wasn't a myth. It was real. And watching her. Rika led Ava through a labyrinth of service tunnels beneath the city. Old emergency bunkers. Forgotten surveillance rooms. Places the government buried long ago. "This is where the real history lives," Rika said, brushing aside a curtain of cables to reveal a wall covered in old photographs, alien script, and classified maps. "They've been here since the 60s. Your mother tried to expose it. She died for it." Ava studied a grainy photo of a secret meeting, military brass shaking hands with an alien figure, partially cloaked in shadow. Her voice shook. "My father's in this photo." Rika nodded. "You were born into it, Ava. Your DNA isn't fully human. That's why they want you. You're not the first hybrid, but you might be the first they can't control." The room seemed to shrink around her. The truth wasn't just conspiracy, it was blood deep. "You're not safe here," Rika said. "Not anymore." They moved quickly through the tunnels, but as they turned a corner, Ava froze. A man stood at the far end. Familiar. Caleb Budd. A friend she hadn't seen since college. "Caleb," she called. He smiled, too easily. "Ava, you've been hard to find." Rika stepped in front of her. "He's one of them." Caleb's eyes shifted, just for a second. Vertical pupils. Ava recoiled. "You were my friend." Caleb's voice softened. "I still am, but we both knew this day would come. You're not safe with them. Come with me, they'll use you." Rika raised a weapon. "Move, and you die." Ava stepped between them. "Stop, no more lies, tell me the truth." Caleb's expression fell. "I never stopped watching over you, because I remember." His voice cracked, sincere. It wasn't just betrayal. It was heartbreak. Ava didn't go with Caleb. Not yet. She and Rika escaped into the storm drains, Caleb letting them go without a fight. But something in his eyes stayed with her, remorse. Exhaustion. She emerged above ground at dawn, the city skyline gray with fog. Everything looked the same, but nothing felt the same. Rika handed her a device, triangular, pulsing. "It's a beacon. If you activate it, they'll come. Allies or enemies, be sure when you use it." Ava pocketed the device. "What now?" Rika lit a cigarette, stared into the rising sun. "Now, you decide what kind of weapon you're willing to be." Ava didn't reply. She walked away slowly, every step heavier. She was done reacting. She was ready to learn the truth on her terms, even if it killed her. Deep beneath the derelict city library, Ava followed Rika through a rusted winding stairwell until they reached a sealed door. With a code and retinal scan, it opened into a hidden archive, ancient technology humming beneath layers of dust. "This is the last uncorrupted vault," Rika said. Ava approached the glowing center console and placed her hand on the interface. It pulsed in response. Holograms ignited, military briefings, hybrid experimentation files, star maps overlaying Earth's tectonic plates. Ava's jaw clenched as she watched video footage, her mother pleading before a council. "We cannot keep sacrificing the hybrids. They are not weapons." Her mother's voice trembled with conviction and fear. Ava turned to Rika. "She fought for us." Rika nodded. "And she died for it." The truth was no longer theory. It was record. And Ava was at the center of it. Back at the safe house, Rika and Ava reviewed the recovered data. Blueprints for advanced terraforming tech, evidence of high-ranking officials working with alien factions, clear proof of collusion. But Ava noticed something odd. Repeated references to a code name, Project Covenant, and a list of test subjects all crossed out, except one. Subject A7. Her code. Rika shifted uncomfortably. Ava narrowed her eyes. You knew this was about me." Rika didn't respond. Ava stepped back. "You were never just helping me. You were studying me." Rika said, "I was protecting you. That's not the same." But the damage was done. Ava grabbed the tablet and walked away, the silence between them heavier than truth. Betrayal didn't always come with violence. Sometimes it came with quiet omission. Ava found herself drawn to Caleb again, despite everything. He met her in a forgotten industrial lot at dusk. "Why did you protect me?" she asked. Caleb looked tired, older somehow. "Because I was meant to destroy you," he said. "But I couldn't. I remembered you before I was activated." His voice broke. "They built me to hunt hybrids like you. But I wasn't just programmed. I was altered. Spliced. I'm one of you. Just more control." Ava stared at him, fury and compassion at war in her chest. "So you're a traitor?" Caleb shook his head. "No, I'm the only one who still feels guilt." Silence fell. Then Ava asked, "Can you help me end this?" Caleb stepped closer. "Yes, but once we begin there's no going back." Ava didn't blink. "There's nothing left to go back to." That night, as Ava and Caleb reviewed encrypted data near an abandoned power station, the ground vibrated. Not seismic. Coordinated. Caleb's eyes widened. "They found you." In moments, black aircraft appeared overhead. Silent, angular, no lights, just motion. Strike teams in sleek armor dropped in. Ava grabbed the beacon. Caleb stopped her. "If you activate that now, they'll all come, ours and theirs." Ava hesitated, then threw the device into a generator, causing a short EMP burst that knocked out lights across the facility. Chaos. Smoke. Gunfire. They escaped through a side corridor, barely avoiding a plasma round that incinerated the wall beside them. As they ran into darkness, Ava muttered, "This is what they do to their own." Caleb whispered, "You're not theirs anymore." Neither of them were. They found shelter in a maintenance shaft beneath the city. No words passed between them for hours. Just silence and breath. Ava stared into the dark, hearing her mother's voice, Rika's betrayal, Caleb's confession. Everyone had an agenda. No one had answers. She pulled the disc from her coat and stared at it. It pulsed gently, waiting. She whispered, "Why me?" Caleb broke the silence. "Because you're not the weapon they wanted. You're the one they feared." Ava turned to him, her voice flat. "Then it's time they remember why." She slid the disc into a terminal port in the wall. An old alien relay buried beneath human infrastructure. The system lit up, and a signal fired into the sky. Not to Earth. Beyond it. Ava's war had just begun, and she wasn't hiding anymore. The signal Ava sent didn't just vanish. It was received. Somewhere in the upper atmosphere, a dormant orbital array lit up for the first time in decades. Below ground, the terminal Ava had accessed unlocked a hidden chamber. She stepped inside alone. The air was colder, thicker, lined with alien script that glowed faintly under her presence. The chamber responded only to her. At the center stood a pedestal, shaped like a blooming flower of metal and stone. It opened the moment she approached, revealing a floating core of crystallized energy. She touched it. Instantly, her mind was thrown to a cascade of visions, generations of hybrids like her, most erased, some used as weapons, others lost to madness. She saw her mother, her father, and then, herself, not as she was, but as she would become. When she came to, the core floated beside her, bound to her energy. Ava whispered, "I am the lock, and the key." With the core now linked to her, Ava accessed a deeper level of the archive, a genetic log, hundreds of years long. Holographic records revealed the truth. Human-alien interaction had been occurring since the early 1900s. Secret breeding programs, selective hybridization, bloodlines tracked through generations. Ava's lineage was at the heart of it all. Her great-grandfather wasn't abducted, he volunteered. Her mother had been part of a failed rebellion. Her father, a high-ranking hybrid officer who defected. Ava watched recordings of experiments, of children growing up isolated, enhanced, broken. It wasn't just conspiracy. It was design. She whispered, "I wasn't born by accident. I was made for this." The final file bore her name. Not Ava, but a 7 threshold catalyst. A being engineered not to fight for one side, but to ignite war between them. Ava confronted Rika again. "You knew. All of it." Rika didn't deny it. "I had to wait until you were ready. If I told you sooner, you'd have run." Ava's voice was steel. "You lied to me." Rika sighed. "We all did, your mother most of all, but she did it to keep you alive." Ava stared, trembling with rage and heartbreak. "Everyone used me. My mother, my father, you. Caleb, the only choice I ever had was survival." Rika said, "Then take the next one, make it yours." Ava walked away, disc in one hand, core in the other. No more manipulation. No more hesitation. If her bloodline made her the trigger, then she would choose what she detonated. "If I was built to start a war," Ava said, "maybe I can end it instead." Across the city, chaos erupted, mass protests, sudden power grid failures, and strange blue storms forming over major landmarks. Caleb reappeared, grim-faced. "They're making it look like an invasion, but it's not. It's a test." Government factions and their alien allies were staging a simulated global threat, designed to justify martial law and prepare the world for full hybrid integration under their control. Ava realized the war had already started, not in space, but in public perception. "We don't stop them from controlling the narrative," Caleb said. "They won't need weapons." Ava stared at the chaos outside. She activated the beacon. "Then we give the world something real to fear. The truth." It was time to force the hidden war into the light. As the fabricated invasion unfolded, Ava moved through the city like a ghost, broadcasting hacked transmissions, releasing classified footage, and uploading the archive to every unlocked channel. Riots turned into questions. Fear became doubt. Then, as the government scrambled to contain the leaks, Ava appeared on every screen. "My name is Ava. I am what they fear. And I am not alone." Her voice reached millions. The transmission was cut, but not before it ignited a wave of resistance. In the shadows, Rika smiled. In orbit, dormant ships stirred. Ava stood on a rooftop as real alien vessels broke through the clouds, called not by conquest, but by blood. Hers. She looked up, eyes blazing. "You want a war," she whispered. "Let's finish the one you started." The storm above roared back. The sky cracked open, literally. Earth's upper atmosphere rippled like shattered glass as the alien fleet emerged. These were not the silent manipulators Ava had learned about. These were frontline vessels, organic metal constructs the size of cities, birthed from a species once considered myth. Global militaries scrambled jets, launched countermeasures, but nothing penetrated the defensive shells. Ava stood in a control center deep beneath the Resistance's last stronghold, watching the incoming armada. Caleb looked to her. "They're here because of you." Ava nodded. "Not to fight, to witness." She activated the disk one last time. Her DNA unlocked a sequence hidden within the alien core, a message encoded centuries ago by the first hybrid ancestor. It wasn't a battle plan. It was a choice. The fleet was waiting for her signal, not to destroy Earth, but to determine if it deserved to be spared. Ava walked alone into the inner sanctum of the underground core, where the last piece of the truth lay buried beneath layers of engineered deception. The chamber hummed with energy, the same resonance that had haunted her since the transmission began. A new recording played. Her mother's voice, raw and emotional. "If you're hearing this, you are the fulcrum. The galaxy is watching. Humanity will never choose unity on its own. But if you choose to reveal them, to force the truth, you may destroy the illusion that binds us. Or you may break the world trying." Ava stood in silence. Then she placed her hand on the final interface. The system flared to life. Her pulse sensed with the core. This wasn't just a decision of war or peace. It was inheritance. Ava wasn't meant to follow a path. She was meant to forge one. Above ground, Earth's leaders broadcast a unified message. The invasion is under control. Humanity is safe. But it was all theater. Controlled narratives, silenced reports, and deep-fake images cloaked the reality from the public. Ava's data leaks had caused fractures but not collapse. Not yet. In the shadows, Rika coordinated rebel signals across the globe. "We don't need them to believe us," she told her operatives. "We need them to ask the first question." Caleb intercepted a secured transmission. The world governments were preparing a strike, not against the aliens, but against Ava. She had become the threat. "They'll destroy her before she speaks," he whispered. Rika replied, "Then we make sure she's louder than ever." The resistance moved. Time was up. Ava had one last chance to disrupt the lie permanently. Alone beneath a sky full of alien watchers, Ava stood atop a ruined skyscraper, staring out over a world on the brink. She had the core in one hand and the disk in the other. The beacon blinked red. Final activation pending. She had only seconds. Caleb appeared beside her. "If you do this, they won't forgive you," Ava replied. "Then they were never meant to be saved." Caleb placed a hand on her shoulder. "If I lose you, it won't be because of what you are. It'll be because the world was too blind to deserve you." She turned to him, eyes damp. "I don't want to destroy them." He nodded. "Then give them a choice." Ava stepped forward. Her voice rang out, broadcast to every screen, every device. "This is not a war. This is a reckoning." And she hit send. The world stopped. Phones buzzed. Screens froze. Broadcasts interrupted. Ava's message played raw and unfiltered across every channel. She showed the evidence, the breeding programs, the false flags, the hybrid genocide. Footage of her mother, of Caleb, of herself. The sky above shifted. Alien ships pulled back, observing silently. Humanity had seen the truth. There was no denying it now. Some cities erupted in protest, others in silence. Some prayed, some rioted. Ava sat on the roof, knees pulled to her chest, watching the light fade. She didn't know what came next. Peace? War? Or something entirely new? But she had forced the world to see. As Caleb joined her, he whispered, "It's done." She shook her head. "No, it started." Above them, the stars blinked, and for the first time, blinked back. The world was quiet. Not peaceful, just stunned. After Ava's transmission, The digital grid collapsed for almost a full hour. Silence blanketed the planet. No government response. No military retaliation. Just billions of people staring into screens, watching history rewrite itself in real time. Ava sat in a darkened safe house, surrounded by flickering monitors looping her message. Caleb paced, agitated. They're not reacting. That's not good. Ava's voice was steady. No, they're thinking. That's worse. In major cities, protesters demanded answers. In others, authorities cracked down. But in the quiet corners of the world, people started to remember. Dreams, bloodlines, ancestors they were told didn't exist. Ava looked up at the stars beyond the shattered window. Now they know we've always been more than just human. And somewhere far above, something was watching and waiting. Far above Earth, aboard a cloaked vessel orbiting the planet, a galactic council convened. Alien species in ceremonial garb, each representing worlds that once warred, now united in silent judgment. They watched Ava's transmission on an obsidian display. One, with translucent skin and eyes like liquid metal, said, "She has defied the directive." Another replied, "She has fulfilled it." Debate broke out. A war for Earth had always been imminent. But now, the planet had a variable, Ava. A hybrid, not bound by protocol or programming. One who chose her own path. "Do we proceed with integration?" a voice asked. The eldest among them shook their head. "No, we wait. Earth must now prove what it truly is. Threat or ally." Outside the vessel, Earth glowed silently, unaware of the tribunal above that now weighed its fate. Back on Earth, Ava returned to the remnants of her childhood home. The house had long been abandoned, but now it was different, marked. Burned glyphs scorched into the wood, symbols she recognized from the archives. Someone had been here. Caleb followed her inside. "You think it was them?" Ava nodded. It was a message. On the floor, amidst ash and decay, was a box she didn't remember. Inside, her mother's locket. And within it, a shard of the same crystal Ava had bonded with underground. Her fingers closed around it, as memories poured in, not just hers, but ancestral ones. Every war, every betrayal, every truth kept buried. "My family wasn't a mistake," Ava whispered. "We were a blueprint." Caleb stepped back, overwhelmed. Ava didn't cry. She just stood taller. Now she finally understood what her legacy was meant to ignite. The world did not unite. It splintered. Some saw Ava as a savior, others as a threat. Conspiracies flooded the digital void. Governments blamed rebels. Rebels blamed each other. But none could unsee the truth. Ava's message had exposed it all. And while some clung to denial, others rose. Underground collectives, awakened hybrids, and even defecting soldiers began to form a fragile network. Caleb manned a growing resistance signal relay. Rika, wounded but alive, trained new recruits. Ava stood atop a skyscraper, watching cities rebuild, not knowing if they were strengthening or fortifying against her. "This is the part no one prepares for," she murmured. Surviving the truth. She turned to leave, the alien core embedded in her chest now glowing softly. Not as a weapon, but as a warning. And perhaps a light. The camera pulls back, first from Ava, then from the city, then from the Earth itself. In deep space beyond the moon's orbit, something moves. A structure, vast, dormant, covered in runes that match those in Ava's bloodline, begins to hum. Lights flicker. Systems reactivate. This was never about Earth alone. Ava's awakening was a signal. A test passed. Or perhaps failed. A whisper crosses the stars. She has chosen. On Earth, Ava walks a dirt road alone, her silhouette framed by twilight. She passes burned-out cars, wildflowers pushing through cracks, and signs of life returning in strange, beautiful ways. A child stares at her with glowing eyes. Ava smiles faintly and continues walking. Her voice, calm, resolute, echoes one final time. The truth has a price. Fade to black. A beat. Then, in silence, the stars shift, forming a new pattern in the sky. The next war has already begun.